Hey, and welcome back to the Art of a Life Well Lived. I'm Christine Regan Lake, and it's good to be back here again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we are inching into the end of the year. We just have two more days left? I guess it's Friday and Saturday. Yeah. So, yeah, it's 2022 is closing out. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you wanted to like, subscribe, or share any of the content that I'm posting, because it helps me to get my message out to those who want and need to hear it. It helps tweak the algorithm, and I so appreciate that. And if you have any questions or any topics you would love for me to cover, please put it in the comments. Let me know. I want your feedback. I want to give you the kind of content that you are wanting and needing answers to, things like that. So, okay, let's get started. So what are we going to talk about today? So today I want to talk to you about a variety of ways in which you can shut down a narcissist when they are going off on you, right? When they're either gaslighting you or attacking you. So here are 6 ways in which you can shut down that narcissist, okay? So the reason you want to do this is because it's important for you to understand, which I've talked about before, narcissistic supply, right? So a narcissist feeds on your energy, right? So a narcissist, first, they love and adore like attention, right? So they want your love and your affection and your gushing and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're not in that place and you're not gushing with love, then they'll pick a fight with you because negative attention is not their preferred source of narcissistic supply, but if it's the only thing that they can get, then they'll take that over nothing. So they'll pick fights with you, right? So they start to gaslight you, things like that. So what is one of the first ways that you can first way or phrase that you can use to shut down a narcissist? Well, the first thing is, clearly, you go gray rock. So the gray rock technique basically just means you are not going to respond emotionally. If they feed off your energy, there's nothing to feed on if you're just a cold gray stone rock, right? So going gray rock is the strongest and the healthiest response you can have when a narcissist is either attacking you or trying to gaslight you, is to just not respond. They want to get a response from you. That's their payoff, right? And so, it's so funny because, my 2 sons would go at each other. And my older one would love to needle the little one. Parker would love to needle Cooper. And, I used to say to Cooper, I'm like, don't you understand? Like, he's playing you, right? Like, he's a little kid. It's his brother. He wants to, whatever, gets to get him all riled up or whatever. And so when they are baiting you, when a narcissist is baiting you for a fight, they're just putting it out there. They know how to pull your strings, so they know exactly what to say to needle you, to tweak you, to get you to respond or whatever. And invariably, my younger one would flip out and start screaming, and then he'd lose it, and then it would just get ugly. And I'd say to him, "Stop being a puppet. Stop letting him pull your strings." Right? So that's what you need to do. You need to make a conscious decision to say, "I am not going to let this narcissist pull my strings anymore. They are not my puppet master. I am not a puppet. I am going to consciously choose how I'm going to respond." And the best strategy that you can embrace is to go gray rock. And if you're able to go no contact, that's even better yet. But if you're not in a situation, if you've got family dynamics or you're in a work situation where you can't go no contact, fine, don't go no contact, then just go gray rock. So what are some of the phrases that you can use to shut down this narcissist? Well, one thing you can say is, I'm not interested in arguing with you. Clearly, we see things differently, and we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because it's not worth any of our effort to just keep going around and around and around in circles. You feel this way, I feel this way. We're complete with this conversation. Let's just agree to disagree and then just walk away. The next thing you can do is, if they're being disrespectful, right? You can, if they're saying, like, say you're on a phone conversation with them, and next thing you know, they start picking at you, or they're attacking you, making negative comments. And what you can say to them is, "If you're going to continue to be disrespectful to me, I'm going to hang up." And you give them a warning. And if they keep going, you literally just hang up the phone. I had to do this with a family member of mine. I was going through my divorce, and I was being kind of pushed to try to talk about the divorce, and I wasn't being heard. I kept communicating, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to talk about this. And my boundaries were continued to be violated. And so finally, I literally just hung up the phone. I didn't call back. I felt no guilt. I was like, clearly my boundaries were not being honored. I communicated I didn't want to talk about it. This person refused to hear me, so I finally just hung up. So you can either go gray rock, you can go no contact, you can literally just hang up the phone. You do not have to participate in being abused by someone, right? Who's going to be talking down to you, who's going to be gaslighting you, who could be insulting you, who could be condescending, whatever. You have to make the choice to say, I am no longer willing to be treated this way, and you have to respond accordingly. So what is another phrase that you might be able to use when you're trying to disarm a narcissist or just kind of get out of the connection, which is to say, I hear you, that isn't my experience, right? So you can try I'm going to honor where you're coming from. I hear you, I'm honoring what you're saying, and I just simply don't agree with you. So that's not my experience. So I hear you, that's not my experience. You can also just say, I'm complete. I'm walking away from this conversation. You can say, I'm not interested in debating this with you about what happened. Clearly you remember it different than I did. You can kind of create like partitions and say, listen, I'm willing to talk to you about X, Y, and Z, but when it comes to this is off limits. I had been in a relationship with someone, I was in an intimate connection, and I had health issues. And over time, there became a pattern that evolved, which was that when I would be talking about my health issues, next thing you know, I'd get the rolling eyes and I would get condescending comments about my health. And at that point, I said, you know what? I am no longer willing to discuss my health with you. This topic is now off the table because for whatever reason, when that issue came up, that person was not capable of respecting where I was coming from and was completely condescending and rude and disrespectful and just dismissing these serious health issues that I had. And so I finally just had to say, that's it. I am no longer willing to speak to you about my health issues. It's that simple. It's off the table. Just so you know, we're clear. And so you have to do that. If you have to set boundaries with people for whatever reason, maybe for someone else it might be money, right? You might have a parent who is constantly butting into your business about your money, right? Asking you questions about your personal finances or this or that, whatever else. And you may have to say to them, I'm not willing to talk to you about my finances anymore. Stop asking me. Or maybe you have a parent or a sibling who is kind of trying to needle into your marriage and get you to talk about your spouse and what's going on. And you have to honor the sanctity of your marriage, and you have to say, I'm not prepared to talk to you about my marriage. Like, it's off limits. This isn't something I'm going to gossip about. This is my partner. This is my spouse. Some people like to make problems, right? There are certain narcissistic family members, aunts, cousins, whoever, who like to stir the pot, and they like to just create conflict where there isn't any. So they will try to meddle in your business, and they will try to start driving a wedge between you and your partner, start driving a wedge between you and your sibling, like whatever it is, drive a wedge between you and your parent, whoever it is. We had one of our aunts, I remember making a negative comment, and my sister said to her, nope, we're shutting this down right now. You're not going to talk to me negatively about my parents. So, and people don't realize it. And she said, as soon as she made that comment, my aunt just completely like reeled herself back in and was like, oh, gotcha, and realized that she was out of line. So, sometimes people can, have narcissistic tendencies that are not a full-blown narcissist, but they have certain tendencies and they have certain behaviors that they learned because they grew up in a narcissistic environment. And when you bring it to their attention, sometimes they will actually own it and say, oh, I'm sorry, and they'll step back. But living with narcissistic people in your environment, you have to learn how to have healthy boundaries. So embracing some of these phrases, learning how to do either no contact, gray rock technique, or just literally physically removing yourself either on the phone or in person when someone is attacking you or gaslighting you. You have to learn to protect yourself. You have to learn to have these boundaries. So again, I'll just go over a few of some of the key phrases. You can say, we remember things differently. You can say, if you're going to continue to disrespectfully speak to me this way, I'm going to hang up the phone. And then hang up. You have to follow through on what you're going to do. You can honor their experience. You can say, I honor and understand and respect where you're coming from. That's not how I see things, so let's not talk about it. Let's just agree to disagree. You can just respectfully say, listen, I really don't want to debate or talk about this anymore. You know, like, we clearly don't see things from the same perspective. And then finally, you can say, you can actually literally cordon off certain topics and be like, I'm not going to speak to you about my finances. My finances are personal to me, and this is not something I'm willing to discuss with you. My marriage is sacred. I'm not willing to talk to you about my spouse. I'm not going to go there with you. I'm not going to allow gossip to infiltrate my marriage. I'm not going to allow you to speak negatively about my sibling. I'm not going to allow you to speak negatively about my parent, right? It's setting up certain boundaries about certain topics to protect yourself and to make sure that you don't allow an external or outside influence to negatively impact your personal peace, your personal presence, and your personal peace, that you're not going to allow them to negatively impact your relationship with your parent, your spouse, your sibling, your friend, or whatever. So it's learning how to have these healthy boundaries. That is how you best navigate when you are either being personally attacked by or being gaslit by a narcissist. So I hope you found value in that. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.